This video is sponsored by NordVPN. In our previous tier lists, we explored and ranked different kinds of bitter tastes, artificial sweeteners, and umami chemicals. Now, we move on to spiciness, or pungency.
Spicy. Ooh, yeah boy.
Spiciness refers to the feeling of heat when eating certain foods, such as chili peppers, mustard, curry, and more. Spiciness is not one of the 5 basic tastes and operates differently from them. For example, while most of the 5 tastes utilize G-protein coupled receptors for perception, spiciness relies on the use of nociceptors, which are specialized neurons responsible for the sensation of pain. In other words, spiciness is not a flavor, it's a feeling. Spiciness is often quantified using scales ranging from mild to hot. One of the most famous examples is the Scoville scale, which measures the pungency of chili peppers. Now, knowing that our perception of spiciness uses the same neurons that sense pain, we must ask ourselves, why? Why would we deliberately eat foods that cause pain? Well, in my case, it's so that I can educate you about spiciness, but in your case, the reason's probably a little bit different. Several explanations have been proposed. One reason that we might be attracted to spicy foods is due to the intense sensation that it brings and the thrill that it gives us. It's the reason why shows like Hot Ones or challenges like the One Chip Challenge are so popular. Another reason we are attracted to spicy foods is that we intentionally add spices to foods in hot climates due to their antimicrobial properties. In this video, we'll be ranking several spicy chemicals, starting with capsaicin, also known as 8-methyl and vanillyl 6-nonivamide. Capsaicin is the active component in chili peppers, plants that belong to the genus Capsicum. Not only is it active in foods like chili peppers, but it is used as an ingredient for spices and has been consumed by humans for over 6,000 years. The Scoville scale for measuring the heat of peppers is based on the concentration of capsaicinoids, a class of chemical compounds of which capsaicin is one member. It consists of an aromatic ring, a long hydrocarbon chain, and a polar amide linkage. Capsaicin specifically binds to the vanilloid receptor 1, VR1, also called transient receptor cation channel subfamily V, member 1, TRPV1. A mouthful of a name, I know. This receptor has 6 transmembrane helices embedded in the phospholipid bilayer and is activated by low pH, below 5.2, as well as high temperatures, greater than 43 degrees Celsius. This sensation is perceived as unpleasant by the body, and we react quickly to avoid it. Ah! This receptor may also produce a bitter taste as well, through inducing high concentrations of calcium and magnesium. It may also be activated by copper 2 sulfate, zinc sulfate, or ferrous sulfate to produce a metallic taste. Capsaicin is often used at low concentrations, as low as 0.025% and 0.1%, as an analgesic in topical ointments to relieve pain. It is also used to reduce symptoms of peripheral neuropathy. Its mechanisms of action on skin nociceptors were part of the awarding of the 2021 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, since it led to the discovery of skin sensors for temperature and touch. It was found that one gene is responsible for capsaicin sensitivity. Capsaicin also acts as a strong irritant, as it is used in pepper sprays, and ingestion of too much capsaicin can be deadly, especially for those with heart problems. It's worth noting that some studies have shown that various levels of capsaicin might be associated with an increased risk of cancer, and especially gallbladder or gastric cancer. Although, this hasn't been shown definitively enough for the IARC to take any formal stance on it. If capsaicin's a carcinogen, we should probably know, so it would be worth having the World Health Organization look into this further. To make sure that this is proper and we've done due diligence, we're going to have to do a control first. So we have one chicken wing, which just has this honey garlic seasoning that all of them have. So let's give it a taste. It's like a decent chicken wing. Could probably use a bit of salt, but it's good. I'm going to save the rest of that chicken wing in case I need a chaser later, because I'm not looking forward to how spicy these are going to be. Capsaicin is naturally found in chili peppers, which is a large genus of peppers, the Capsicum genus. This isn't just like some extract or some hot sauce. This is pure capsaicin. This is the type of stuff that they would put in some topical creams. We're going to see what it does, and maybe it'll cream my taste buds. Oh, that's hot. It's really hot. Okay, I think I'm, it's getting worse again. It's almost all right. And then it suddenly has waves of like, oh. Let's try some water first and see if that helps. It helps for a second. Let's see. It's coming back. The heat's coming back. That's not good. I'm a little bit concerned. It's gonna keep getting hotter, but I don't know. It's about as hot as the hottest Thai food I've ever eaten. It's definitely really hot, and my whole mouth hurts right now, but I'm not like crying yet. It might just be that there wasn't quite enough in that one bite to really like put me into tears. So I think I should give it another bite, because otherwise it's not really fair. Capsaicin's supposed to be the spiciest chemical on this tier list, so I should be in a little bit more pain than that. This is actually like a lot better with the capsaicin than the previous one, but you can, the heat, you can feel the heat. It's like, it's so hot. Wow, that is super spicy. I'm glad that I only did 5 milligrams. It still might have been too much. I think that first bite didn't have as much because this is a lot hotter. Woo! I can feel the capsaicin mapping out every different part of my mouth that could possibly be encountering pain. The heat is all over my tongue and the roof of my mouth and the bottom of my mouth. I can feel it spreading across my lips, and my head's starting to sweat just from the heat. It's quite a stinging sensation. It's kind of like jabbing my tongue over and over, like a heartbeat, but of like pain. It's a pain beat. But it's starting to go down a little bit, but I'm starting to feel it in the back of my throat, and not a big fan. It does still taste good. Like, it was better with the capsaicin than without by far, but it is also like unbearably hot. Now, the control wasn't spicy at all, so the control is gonna have to go right into F tier, but the capsaicin one, it's pretty hot. I'm gonna have to put it into A tier. Maybe pure capsaicin's worse, but we'll have to see if any of the other ones actually are able to top capsaicin. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. When I was assembling the list of spicy chemicals for this video, one of the biggest challenges to overcome was identifying vendors who even sell them. You've probably heard of a VPN before, but did you know that you can find items that might be challenging to find in your specific location? I had to use a VPN to find many of the spicy compounds on this list. Sometimes, advertisers promote targeted campaigns in a specific geographical location, and this often means that you'll be paying much higher prices for some items than you might be able to find using a VPN. The craziest thing is, all these online stores will still sell to you. It's just a challenge to even find them and outsmart the algorithms on your own. That's where today's sponsor, NordVPN, comes in. If you appreciate the suffering that I'm going through for this video, then you're also appreciating the value that a VPN can bring you. Just like our channel, Nord strives to make the internet better than it is today. We should be able to go online without any threats, censorship, or surveillance. If you haven't used a VPN before, it's a virtual private network. And when you connect to websites using a VPN, you're able to change your apparent location to somewhere else. All of those online dropshippers can wipe away their tears with somebody else's money. Your hard-earned doubloon shouldn't go to the companies who pay to occupy the first spot of Google. So why does a VPN work? Just like adaptation, these companies have adapted to your specific online behaviors and devices, but no longer. It's time to be an invasive species in their ecosystem. Nord offers a risk-free VPN, enabling you to become safer online in a single click. Nord doesn't track or share what you do online. Have you ever Googled some store and then opened Instagram and were immediately bombarded with ads for those sites? Those are probably the bad guys. Fortunately, Nord is one of the good guys. When I was still a PhD student, I used NordVPN to access my university login through a Canadian VPN while I was attending a conference in Oxford, United Kingdom. I literally couldn't access anything until I enabled a Canadian VPN through Nord. Nord also offers 24/7 customer support and offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Nord even lets you protect up to 6 devices with just one account. That means your laptop, your phone, your desktop, your iPad, probably even your dog's iPad. Nord is giving a special offer to viewers of the channel. If you purchase a 2-year plan, they'll give you 4 extra months for using code THATCHEMIST. You can get this deal today by going to nordvpn.com/thatchemist and entering code THATCHEMIST at checkout. That way, Nord will know you came from here. I want to thank Nord for their support of this channel and their support in the fight against online censorship, threats, and surveillance. If capsaicin is indeed the spiciest one here today, I think we're going to have to put it into S tier. I put a sane amount of capsaicin in this because I didn't want to die, but if you were to put like 100 milligrams in, you would be going to the hospital. I didn't want to go to the hospital, and you are still getting to see me suffer. Taste-wise, I would say that the first chicken wing was probably like a C tier, maybe a D tier, but with the capsaicin, taste-wise, it would be at least an A tier. It was like a decent chicken wing. If I got that at a restaurant, I would not be disappointed. If I got the first one without any spice at a restaurant, I would definitely be disappointed, and I probably wouldn't be going there again. Because these are so spicy, we really only need a tiny little bit on a toothpick, just enough to see that there's some residue stuck on the toothpick, and that should have me crying. So let's see, we're gonna start with the capsaicin. As long as I'm careful, I shouldn't need to wear gloves here. Here we go. So far, I'm not. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel it there. It's getting hotter. It's like not hot in a lot of spots, and then the hottest it could possibly be in other spots. It hasn't quite spread out yet. I think if it was in oil, it would be worse. I'm just being careful not to like breathe any in, but like, ooh, it is hot in the back of my throat. You can even hear my 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 throat's getting a little bit congested here. It's like an A tier. Yeah, it's pretty hot. I mean, if I were to taste more of it, I'm sure it would be worse. That's like a bite into a habanero, and it's like pretty hot. The next chemical's a bit spicy to have on this tier list, but you'd be surprised to hear that it isn't actually that spicy. Cannabidiol is a phytocannabinoid that is one of the 113 identified cannabinoids found in marijuana plants. It's the second most active ingredient in marijuana, roughly making up 40% of the plant's extract, behind tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. CBD has been used to manage pain, anxiety, insomnia, and epilepsy. It is preferred since it is the non-psychoactive component in marijuana and is used to provide a relaxing effect. In recent years, it's been added to food and drinks for this purpose, although I don't know anybody who's added it to a chicken wing, at least not before today. CBD is produced through the same metabolic pathway as THC is, until its last step, where the enzyme CBDA synthase will catalyze a reaction instead of the enzyme THCA synthase. You can see this overall pathway shown here. In both cases, the final step is a decarboxylation reaction, although these are both spontaneous and not mediated by an enzyme. The cyclization of CBGA into THCA or CBDA are both mediated through different enzymes, CBDA synthase as well as THCA synthase. THCA is what's commonly referred to as THC diamonds, as this is a crystalline substance at room temperature. Meanwhile, THC tends to be an oil. Now you might be thinking that marijuana is not related to capsaicin, so it shouldn't be spicy. You would be right. However, CBD acts as an antagonist to VR1, the same receptor sensitive to capsaicin, providing a numbing effect. It was found that CBD at low doses inhibits the adenylyl cyclase, cyclic AMP pathway, which is essential for maintaining TRPV1 phosphorylation and sensitization. Now we're going to be testing the next one, CBD, cannabidiol. Is this spicy? Is it numbing? We're going to have to find out. From what we've seen in the literature, it's an antagonist at TRPV1, and it allegedly is supposed to have numbing effect, so we'll see if this is able to numb my mouth. Kind of just tastes like a worse version of the first one. Taste-wise, this is going to have to go into like F tier. Is it numbing my mouth? Yeah, it is numbing my mouth a little bit, but it's not extreme. Yeah, so overall spiciness-wise, CBD's got to be an F tier. It's not spicy, but it does have a bit of a numbing sensation. It's pretty subtle though. If you're wondering how much CBD I put in that, I put 29 milligrams on that chicken wing. It wasn't too numbing when we had it cooked in a chicken wing, but we'll see how it is on its own. Kind of doesn't taste like anything. Definitely made the capsaicin from earlier way spicier though. Well, that wasn't expected. Maybe they're like somehow working together, but it's like definitely hotter than it was before the CBD. So either the CBD is spicy or it's evoking some extra spice in the capsaicin. I think it's the capsaicin because I can feel that part of my lip getting hotter and I'm starting to sweat again. Spiciness wise, cannabidiol on its own, not too spicy. I mean, my tongue is definitely numb now and it wasn't before. It's doing something. I would put the CBD into F tier because it's not spicy on its own, but if you combine it with capsaicin, it would seem to be worse. The next chemical we have is nonivamide, the main compound used in pepper spray. Nonivamide is also known as pelargonic acid, vanillylamide, or PAVA. It's an organic compound and capsaicinoid. It's the amide of pelargonic acid and vanillylamine. Like capsaicin, nonivamide is a VR1 agonist and is used as a food additive to add pungency to seasonings and spices. However, compared to capsaicin, nonivamide is more heat stable. I wonder how heat stable I'll be to nonivamide. Nonivamide is naturally found in some chili peppers and is used in riot control as the active ingredient in pepper sprays and the payload in less lethal munitions in riot guns. That's one spicy chemical. Nonivamide has been shown to stimulate the calcium-dependent release of serotonin and dopamine in SHSY5Y cells, a type of human neuroblastoma cell line. Oftentimes, researchers explore cancer cell lines as it's easy to clone large amounts of these human cells and then do studies on these cells. Neuroblastoma cells are just one type of cancer cell that's cultured for the study of human cells. Next, we have Pava, pepper spray. Let's see if I'm gonna get pepper sprayed by this chicken wing. This one tastes different. Oh, that's hot. That is really hot. That is significantly hotter than the capsaicin. I'm not eating any more of that. I'm spitting the rest out. That's S tier. That's S tier spicy. Wow. And I only did 5 milligrams of that one. Oh my gosh. My tongue is on fire. It's so bad. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, I didn't think it would be that. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh, it's like the milk didn't do anything. Oh no, my lips are starting to feel it. My tongue is going really numb. It's so hot. It's getting hotter still. How? How is that even possible? It's so hot. I don't want to drink all my milk. It's just unbearable. My lips are dying. My tongue is dying. This will pass. Everything will be all right. But it is not all right right now. I can feel my sinuses clearing out entirely, but my tongue is in so much pain. It's worse than like a stinging spicy. It's more like a stabbing spicy. It's like a knife is going in and out of my lips and tongue over and over again. Initially, it had a nice complementary taste to the chicken wing, but then it got completely overtaken by spice, and it is unbearably hot. I took a much smaller bite of that one than I did the capsaicin, and I will not be having another bite of that one. That is unbearably hot. Unambiguously to me, nonivamide Pava is significantly spicier than capsaicin, at least in this arrangement on a chicken wing. My lips are throbbing, and I can feel my heartbeat pulsating through my lips and tongue. This is a unique experience. Currently, the spiciness is about where it was at with the capsaicin, but it is going down, thankfully. I didn't expect Pava to be that bad. That was, like, unbelievable. I'm definitely a little bit uncomfortable about this one. Here we go. Pava time. Initially, it has this great taste. It's, like, a little bit chemically, but it's, like, nice. Ugh, that's disgusting. Ugh, that's disgusting. Oh, it's hot. Why is that so much hotter than the capsaicin? What the heck? Oh, it's so much hotter. What the heck? It's just like the chicken wing. It is S tier spicy. Oh my gosh. I don't know why that's so bad, but it's like unbearable. I would never put Pava in my food. That is like way too hot, and it tastes initially good, then disgusting. Then the heat just takes over, and we have that stabbing sensation that I had with a chicken wing. It's still getting hotter. Right now, my tongue and the roof of my mouth are at war. What are they at war with? Pava. They have literally been pepper sprayed. Interestingly, capsaicin is reported to be 16 million on the Scoville scale. Meanwhile, Pava's only 9.2 million Scovilles. But to me, Pava is unambiguously hotter. Next, we have stearoyl vanillylamide. This is another capsaicin analog that contains an 18-carbon tail. Many capsaicin analogs exist with different alkyl chain lengths. The amount of carbon in these chains can directly influence pungency, but I guess we'll have to test that for ourselves. For example, capsaicin analogs with a 14-carbon to 20-carbon side chain show little to no spice compared to capsaicin. Stearoyl vanillylamide is no different and shows little to no spice compared to capsaicin. However, it plays a crucial role as a fat burner and has been used to promote weight loss and improve heat production in the body. This is because stearoyl vanillylamide enhances the release of adrenaline and noradrenaline, which are hormones necessary for sympathetic nervous system responses such as metabolism. Stearoyl vanillylamide, along with capsaicin, has also been shown to inhibit the electron transfer activity of mitochondrial complex 1, also called NADH coenzyme Q oxidoreductase. This one should be similarly bad to the last one. Here we go. Tastes good. Not feeling any heat yet. Yeah, that one's basically not there. I accidentally put a second chicken wing in this one, so I'll take a bite of that as well. That one's almost not there. I'd say that's like a D tier spice. Taste-wise, it's fine, but like it's somewhere in between the flavor of the capsaicin and the flavor of the regular one. Overall, taste-wise, it's like B tier, but spicy-wise, it's like D tier. I am relieved. Okay, here we go. No real taste to it. Pretty bland. I feel a bit of heat on my tongue, in the back of my throat a bit, and my sinuses are clearing out again. Nowhere near as bad as Pava though. It doesn't have any particular flavor to it. It's more of a very subtle heat. So not too spicy overall. I would say C tier. I'm honestly pretty surprised. I would have thought that nonivamide and stearoyl vanillylamide were almost as spicy as one another, since it's just a longer alkyl chain. But apparently, the length of the alkyl chain has some effect on how spicy it is. This next chemical sure does have a lot of double bonds in a row. This is piperine. Piperine is an organic compound that is responsible for the pungency of black pepper. Due to its poor solubility in water, it's extracted using organic solvents such as dichloromethane. In light, and especially in ultraviolet light, piperine has been found to change into its isomers, such as chavacine, isochavacine, and isopiperine, which are tasteless. Piperine has been shown to have numerous health benefits. For example, piperine has been found to increase the absorption of beta-carotene, a beneficial plant compound that is converted in the body into vitamin A, enhances immune function, and acts as an antioxidant. Piperine has also been shown to increase the absorption of selenium, a micronutrient that has powerful anti-inflammatory properties. The next one that we have is piperine, the spice from black pepper. The difference is it's pretty dilute in black pepper, only constituting like 1 to 3% of the dry weight of black pepper, but we have 95% piperine here. I put 100 milligrams on this one, and you might be like, whoa, that's way more than the 5 milligrams of capsaicin you put on there, but that's because piperine is a lot less spicy. That being said, this should still have a bit of a kick to it, but I actually really like the taste of black pepper. So let's see how this one goes. This one has great taste. Excellent chicken wing. S tier taste. You know, compared to the other ones, there's not that much heat, but I am still starting to feel a little bit of heat creeping up, so we'll wait a minute to see if it gets worse. In the meantime, I'll just keep eating it, because I don't think it's going to be that bad. There is some kick to it, but because it's diluted throughout the whole chicken wing, it's just not that hot. It's probably C tier. It's hotter than the stearoyl vanillamide was. It's not undesirable. It's actually pretty nice. This is like the heat level that you'd go for. So if you're trying to make chicken wings a little bit spicier than they normally be with black pepper, you could use 95% piperine. It is still hot. It does still persist, but it's like a pleasant spice that distributes throughout the mouth, focusing a little bit more on the tongue, but it's like a peppery spice, not the same as capsaicin. If you're planning on using piperine in any of your cooking, I'd encourage you to be very careful with how much you add, and if you have access to a scale, it might be a good idea to weigh it out. I have put some in like a pepper shaker before, but you have to use a lot less than you normally would, otherwise your dish might become unbearably spicy. I've made some omelets that tasted very peppery before. They were edible, but my wife was a little bit disappointed with how hot they were. It wasn't that they were like crazy hot, but I put a lot of piperine in there. So from here, it should be mostly downhill. I'm not too concerned about the remaining ones here, but maybe I'll be humbled. I love piperine. Peppery, just like pure concentrated black pepper. I love that. Let's see how spicy it gets. It's still heating up. Ooh, it's a nice spice. It's just kind of spreading throughout my mouth. There's not a particular like stabbing sensation, just a little bit of heat to it, along with a peppery flavor. Quite pleasant, I would say. But if you don't like heat, this might still set you off. You know how in those old cartoons, you would see someone sneezing after they breathe in some pepper? Well, I have a bit of a tickle in my nose right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if I end up sneezing. Why don't we see if piperine will make me sneeze? Oh, this isn't even that bad. The heat is kind of like the heat of a cinnamon heart. It's not extreme, but it's milder than a cinnamon heart. It's pleasant though. Piperine, decent overall, but I would have to say it's going to be in C tier. Now we're moving to some spicy chemicals you might not have heard of before, starting with hydroxy-alpha sanshool. Hydroxy-alpha sanshool is an organic molecule found in plants from the genus Xanthoxylum. This molecule is believed to be responsible for the numbing and tingling sensation caused by Sichuan peppercorns. The term sanshool in its name comes from the name of the Japanese pepper, sansho. This term has the suffix "ol" added to it to reflect that an alcohol is present in this compound. Its chemical structure is like capsaicin in that both are fatty acid amides. However, its mechanisms of action have been a matter of debate. Like capsaicin, hydroxy-alpha sanshool is an agonist for the VR1 receptor. However, hydroxy-alpha sanshool has also been shown to inhibit two poor potassium channels, which are responsible for the numbing effects. Hydroxy-alpha sanshool excites virtually all D-hair afferent nerve fibers, which are a distinct subset of ultrasensitive light touch receptors in the skin. It has also been shown to target populations of A-beta and C-type nerve afferents. I've tested this spice before. It's not an unpleasant taste, and it was a novel taste that I'd never experienced before having this. Let's see how it goes. The taste is good. It has more of like a citrusy taste to it. I'm not feeling any buzzing sensation yet. I'm not sure if it will survive the cooking process. The taste is great. Phenomenal taste. Compared to the uncooked Sichuan peppers, there's almost no buzzing sensation. It's just a pleasant taste. So taste-wise, this is like another S tier, but spice-wise, this is an F tier. If there was any hydroxy alpha sanshool in there, it must have got destroyed during the cooking process because there's basically no effect. You get this really cool numbing tingly sensation if you experience the uncooked stuff, but I don't get any of that in the cooked one. A little bit disappointing, but at least I'm not suffering. They smell amazing, but they are pretty potent. Bitter, very bitter, like tannin, astringent. Very bitter. Don't chew raw Sichuan peppers. It's like citrusy. I'm not getting a ton of buzzing sensation, but I am getting a bit. I'll try chewing it. There we go. Oh yeah, there's the buzz. It's like a zappy, oh, the bitter is unbearable. I'm gonna have to spit this out, hold on. It's an interesting sensation. It's like a zesty lemon zappy buzzing feeling all throughout my mouth, especially on my tongue. But it's like it's painted every surface of my mouth that I can now feel in wholeness, where before I wouldn't be feeling every nook and cranny of my mouth. I have a subtle buzzing sensation all over my mouth. It's completely different than capsaicin. It's a novel sensation that prior to tasting Szechuan peppers and buzz buttons, I'd never tasted this kind of sensation before, so it's really interesting. I would say spiciness-wise overall, it's like a B tier, but it's not spicy the same way as capsaicin. It's much more just like bzzz. I can also try a bit of the tincture, but only for you. Oh, way Don't drink tinctures of Szechuan peppers. Whoa, that's spicy. Whoo. That's completely different than capsaicin, but that like is an S tier spiciness. That is way hotter and is pure. I'm surprised that the chicken wing didn't have any flavor because, oh, that's like mind-blowingly strong. Oh yeah, my whole tongue is like bzzz. Like there's like I have a mouthful of bumblebees and even my lip is starting to buzz. The way I made the tincture is I just took 20 milliliters of 50% ethanol, also known as 100 proof alcohol, and then I put in a significant quantity of Sichuan peppercorns, buzz buttons, ginger, as well as grains of paradise. So if you want to try this, feel free to. After trying it in the tincture, I would say it's probably like right between an A tier and an S tier, but it goes away relatively quickly compared to the Pava. So I think it's probably fairer to put it into A tier. I'm not in as much pain, but whoa, it sure was a unique, potent experience. Similar to hydroxy alpha sanshool, we have spilanthol, also called afinin. It is a fatty acid amide isolated from Ochmella oleracea, otherwise known as the toothache plant or buzz buttons. This compound is believed to be responsible for the local anesthetic properties of buzz buttons. Spilanthol can permeate through human skin and inside the linings of the cheek of the mouth. Spilanthol has been shown to exert anti-inflammatory effects via inhibition of nitric oxide production due to the reduced expression of nitric oxide synthase in macrophages. It has been suggested that spilanthol can interact with the VR1 receptor, as it was found that the antihypertensive effect of spilanthol was blocked by capsaicin, a synthetic antagonist of capsaicin. Let's see if this is also gone once it's been cooked, or if it has any residual spiciness to it. Good taste. Different than all the other ones so far. Probably an A tier. I was going to say no discernible spice, but it's very subtle. I would say spiciness-wise, it's almost not there compared to the raw stuff, maybe like a D tier, but this must also get destroyed during cooking. It was baked for half an hour at 400 degrees Celsius, so it must just be that the spilanthol and hydroxy alpha sanshool just don't have good thermal stability, at least when applied to a chicken wing. Good taste. If you're planning on cooking with buzz buttons, I mean, you could. It's a lot of work and they're pretty expensive to cook with, so you might as well just use Szechuan peppers. But the taste from this to this are completely different. The Szechuan pepper one tasted more like Asian cuisine. The buzz button one tastes still like honey garlic, but with like a desirable plant flavor to it. It's kind of hard to articulate more than that, but it's not unwelcome whatsoever. So spiciness-wise, we'll put it into D tier. Almost no buzzing sensation, which is disappointing because it's like the one thing buzz buttons are supposed to do. Thanks, buzz buttons. You're really buzzing my buttons. So there is actually like a little bit of a lingering spice taste that I'm getting now. It's very subtle and very muted. It doesn't change the ranking from D tier, but I just wanted to be fully honest with you. So normally these are just put into cocktails, and I'm just going to put one in my mouth. Bitter. Feels like I'm chewing a dandelion. And there comes the buzz again. Buzz, buzz, buzz. My tongue is buzzing just like the Szechuan peppercorn, but a little bit different. It has a subtle nuance. It's hard to... I got a flower on my tonsils. Oh, it's getting spicier still. That's like a tier, B tier. Yeah, I'd say that's probably B tier spicy, but we better test out the tincture as well, just to make sure we're getting a fair representation. Here goes the tincture. Tastes like chemicals. Whoa, my whole mouth is becoming like staticky, and it kind of feels like I'm drooling a bit. My lips are a little bit numb, and I'm noticing that I'm having a harder time controlling my lips than I usually would. Interesting. My whole mouth currently feels relatively numb, but it's like a welcome numbness. It's not hot or like unpleasantly zappy. It's more just like a complete tingling, numbing sensation throughout my mouth. With the tincture, it's not that spicy. I would say it's probably like a C tier. Next, we have a collection of compounds that somewhat resemble capsaicin. But are they similar to capsaicin? Some of them are. Ginger compounds are found in ginger, also known as Zingiber officinale, which is a flowering plant whose root is often used as a spice in cooking and as a folk medicine. The major compounds of ginger that will be discussed for this tier list are zingerone, gingerol, and Scoville. Zingerone, also called vanillylacetone, is the major flavor component of ginger, providing the sweet flavor of the plant when cooked. Zingerone can be synthesized when vanillin reacts with acetone under basic conditions to form dehydrozingerone, followed by a catalytic hydrogenation. Zingerone and other compounds in ginger have been shown to be active against enterotoxigenic E. coli and is known to be an efficient free radical scavenger, being able to reduce reactive oxygen species in the body. Zingerone was first isolated from the ginger root in 1917 by chemistry professor Hiroshi Nomura. He believed that this compound contributed to the pungency of ginger. However, later research has shown that this is not the case. The actual compound responsible for the pungency of ginger is aptly named gingerol. Gingerol, like capsaicin, can interact with VR1 receptors on the tongue, causing a spicy aftertaste. This is that burn that you feel when you drink a really strong ginger beer. In a preclinical meta-analysis of gingerol compounds, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and anti-cancer activity have been reported. Gingerol is effective against a wide range of cancers, including leukemia, skin, lung, pancreatic, breast, and prostate cancer. This is due to its mechanism of action through generating reactive oxygen species in cancerous cells and stimulating cell cycle arrest or mitochondrial apoptosis. Time to die! Gingerol is only present in fresh ginger, as when it's cooked, gingerol is converted to zingerone via a retroaldol reaction. This is just the reverse reaction of an aldol reaction, a reaction that you sometimes see used in organic synthesis. However, it's also possible that when gingerol undergoes a dehydration reaction, it instead forms Schogols, which are alpha-beta unsaturated ketones. Schogols are constituents of ginger and are produced when ginger is dried or cooked. This is why dried ginger is more pungent than fresh ginger. The term comes from the Japanese name for ginger, shoga. On the Scoville scale, Scoville is shown to be twice as pungent as gingerol, but less pungent compared to capsaicin. Gingerol isn't supposed to be particularly thermally stable, so I'm not expecting this one to have too much kick to it. This one also tastes great. Gingery, as you might expect. Basically no spice to it, so this is going to have to go right into F tier. The gingerol does not survive the cooking process. Taste-wise, this is about as bad as the neutral chicken wing. This is going to go into C tier. Gingerol doesn't typically survive cooking as it gets converted into zingerone. The flavor of zingerone is one of the desired tastes in cooking, but it isn't a spicy chemical. However, if you have raw ginger, you'll still have some gingerol present. So that means if we want to taste the spicy taste of ginger, we're going to have to taste it raw. Here we go. Don't eat ginger like that. Oh, I made a huge mess. Tastes like ginger. Shocker. Okay, so this one is spicy. This is starting to have heat similar to capsaicin. My nose is running a little bit from it. I did just take a bite into a giant root of ginger, so my mouth is gonna have a reaction to that. Spice-wise, it's like beer in A tier. It's hot. Yeah, the heat's spreading throughout my mouth. It's still not as bad as Pava, but it's still like an A tier. It's pretty hot. So maybe if you used a small amount of ginger in your cooking, it wouldn't be that hot. I mean, if you're cooking it, it's not going to be hot at all. But if you add some ginger in at the end after cooking's finished, you'll still get some kick to it. So ginger, we can put you into B tier. But first, we need to test the tincture. Yeah, the ginger tincture actually tastes pretty good. Like ginger vodka, I guess. It's a lot hotter than the ginger is, but it's all concentrated into one spot on my tongue. Yeah, that's like an A tier in terms of spiciness. That's a lot hotter. I can feel my sinuses clearing up again. I don't think I'm going to have any mucus in my sinuses for days. We've been flushing them out all day today. You might be surprised to hear that ginger is hot, but if you look at the similarity between the structure of capsaicin and the structure of gingerol, you'll see that they look quite similar. Gingerol is also an aldol adduct, and the way that it gets converted into zingerone during cooking is through a retroaldol reaction. Gingerol is only 60,000 on the Scoville scale, which means that it shouldn't be anywhere near as hot as capsaicin. That being said, I did just take a bite into a ginger root, so it's going to have a bit more gingerol than you might expect, because I took a massive bite. Quite similar to Scoville, we have 6-paradol. However, this isn't found in ginger. This is an organic compound that's the active flavor constituent of the seeds of guinea pepper, also called the grains of paradise. It, too, is part of the same family as ginger, but is more closely related to cardamom, imparting a pungent, black pepper-like flavor with a hint of citrus. To me, this really tastes like Fruit Loops, but if you've tried grains of paradise and you don't think it tastes like Fruit Loops, you can opine down below. The plant is common to cuisines of North and West Africa and is a major component in the diet of Western lowland gorillas, making up at least 80 to 90% of their diet. It's pretty crazy to me that gorillas can be mostly eating this plant and not have absolutely the worst heartburn that you've ever imagined. Do gorillas actually get heartburn? This is a question for the biologists, and I am not a biologist. I'm not a gorilla either, but I'm still going to be tasting some grains of paradise. 6-paradol has been shown to be anti-carcinogenic, as it was shown to significantly decrease the incidence and multiplicity of skin tumors. 6-paradol has also shown potential as a fat burner, as it was found to enhance energy expenditure and reduce visceral fat in overweight adults in a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical study. Grains of paradise have a chemical called 6-paradol, which is quite similar to capsaicin, but instead of having an amide linkage, it's instead bound covalently through a carbon. That means that it's a ketone. Let's see how the grains of paradise chicken wing tastes. Somehow that's worse than the first chicken wing. That's like F tier in terms of flavor. It's like a 1.5 out of 10 flavor. It somehow removed the flavor from the chicken wing. I can taste the very subtle taste of grains of paradise in there, but it's not desired. No heat to it. Spiciness wise, it's like, there is a little bit of heat, but it's almost impossible to register. I would put the spiciness in F tier because it doesn't quite register, so it might not have survived the cooking process. My favorite fact about grains of paradise is that the plant that grains of paradise is from constitutes 80% of the diet of highland gorillas. When these gorillas are in the zoo and they don't get fed grains of paradise, they tend to have more cardiovascular problems. I think that's pretty interesting. Let's see if I'm a gorilla. I'm only going to take 3 seeds because I think these are supposed to be pretty hot, but because it's for you, I'll actually take 4. Whoa, this is hot. It's like spreading through my whole mouth. Grains of paradise contain a chemical called paradol, which looks quite similar to gingerol, but it lacks the hydroxy group which participates in a retroaldol reaction. That means that it's a little bit more stable, but I can promise you, after tasting it, I'm a little bit less stable. Heat-wise, it's an A tier. I'm just so desensitized to heat after today that like, I might not be looking like it's an A tier, but that's because I've just taken so much abuse. A for abuse. Grains of paradise have 850,000 to 2 million Scoville. That's pretty hot, but to me, it doesn't even compare to Pava. I still think we can put it into A tier, A for abuse. Next, we have the tincture. Let's see if the tincture is even worse. It probably is, but I didn't macerate the seeds, so maybe I'll get off lucky. Start with 1 or 2 drops. It's like a pleasant citrusy flavor. Yeah, it's got some heat to it, but it might just be that the seeds needed to be macerated first. I am feeling some heat, but the heat of the tincture from the outside of the seeds isn't that hot. It's probably like a C tier. So if you wanted to make these even hotter, you probably could. If you were to get 100% pure paradol, you might be able to test the heat even more, but I wasn't able to find a reliable vendor of 6-paradol. But if you can, I'd encourage you to try it. And let me know how it goes. Last but not least, we have curcumin. Curcumin is a bright yellow organic compound that is the principal curcuminoid of turmeric. Chemically, you could consider this a polyphenol, or a diaryl heptanoid to be more specific, because oh boy, do chemists love to be specific. Curcumin is structurally similar to Scoville and paradol, with curcumin containing an extra phenol. Technically, this is like a dimer of vanillin that's just reacted with pentane-dione twice, but you don't need to worry about that. Curcumin belongs to a group called the curcuminoids, phenolic pigments responsible for the yellow color of turmeric. Although, under UV light, curcumin will display green fluorescence. Curcumin is mostly used as a dietary supplement and is added as coloring for foods like curry powder, mustard, butter, and cheese. Although curcumin has been assessed in numerous clinical and laboratory studies, it has no medical uses in well-designed clinical research. In a 2017 review of more than 120 studies, the authors found curcumin to be an unstable, reactive, non-bioavailable compound. BTFO curcumin! So based on this, will it be spicy? Probably not, but I guess I'll have to see by tasting it myself. This one may not even be spicy, and when I was opening the container that it was in, it actually smelled a lot like vanilla. If you look at its chemical structure, it's actually quite similar to vanilla, but I'm not sure why this one would smell like vanilla while all of the other capsaicinoids don't. This one has a clearly distinct color to it compared to the other ones. It's pretty yellowy orange. Even the liquid dropping off of it's like dark yellow. I'll be careful not to stain this table. Even look at my gloves. It's like fluorescing green, so don't want to make a mess with that one. Let's give it a taste. The taste is pretty neutral. It's less than the regular chicken wing was. There's absolutely no heat to it whatsoever, so I'd be happy to say cooked curcumin has no spiciness to it. It might taste a little bit sweeter than usual. The taste overall isn't like better though. It's still like a D tier chicken wing. So overall, curcumin, not that spicy. It's gonna have to go right into F tier. This isn't supposed to be spicy, and it'll probably stain my teeth for days. Super duper orange. That smells like vanilla. Maybe that means it's impure. Negligible heat, not zero. It's got a non-zero amount of heat. I would say it's probably like a D tier. Definitely not that spicy, but it has a tiny little bit of heat to it. Non-trivial, but almost trivial. So for that reason, we can put it into D tier. So what have we learned today? We've learned more about the feeling of spiciness, and we've ranked several spicy chemicals that bring the heat. What do you think of our rankings? If you have any spicy favorites that we missed, let us know about them down in the comments. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spicy videos. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.